Let's bring in Kirk Cousins of my Minnesota Vikings. Beat the Lions yesterday, still undefeated at home. They're at the Chargers coming up next weekend. Kirk, good to have you back. We were just talking about quarterbacks making a tackle or trying to make a tackle on an interception. What is your policy? I know you've only thrown four interceptions this year. What's your policy on that?
Man, I think first thing you have to, the second it's an interception, you got to take off and run and show that you're trying to cover. You can't not give effort. And then basically, I just try to turn it back inside. So if they're going down the sideline, I try to get to the sideline to bring them back to everybody else on the team. This year we had a fumble, and we had a guy returning it, and one of the big Eagles defensive linemen was lead blocking for him, and I was his target. And right when he got to me, I turned my back to him so he'd have to block me in the back if he hit me. And he started laughing because he knew I was running away from him. So it was literally like a bully on the school playground, and I knew better than to get whacked by him.
Okay, but if it was a playoff game, is it different?
Well, if I've got a 300-pound nose tackle sprinting at me full speed, I probably go for his shins and try to knife him and hope that I can create a car pile up. But my odds there aren't very good, but I'll do everything I have to within reason. Now,
I know you got two little ones. I think you got a 2-year-old, and then your youngest was born in March. But didn't you have a minivan? Like you were practicing with the minivan prior to needing the minivan. Do you still have the minivan?
Yeah, we got it. It's, minivan is probably an insult to what it really is. It's a conversion van. It's like a mini home on wheels. The back seat bench folds down flat into a bed. It's got the lights that run through the ceiling. So it's a fun little deal. But I'm kind of an old soul. So before being a dad, I was kind of acted like one, and so I guess I'm in my natural fit now, being a dad of two boys.
But didn't you buy the van off your grandmother?
Yep, you got it right. Yeah, my grandma, she didn't have use for it anymore after my grandpa passed away. So I was like, well, I'll take it off your hands. We use it for tailgating and things like that. And it's a 20-year-old van now, but back in 2000, it was the top of the line.
Of course. 9-4 this year, second in the NFC North. You've thrown 24 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Do you think you'll ever satisfy your critics?
Probably not. I think winning a Super Bowl, certainly can, at the end of the day, people can still criticize you, but you kind of have the last laugh with a ring. So that's really what we're all chasing. And, that's all that really matters in this league and what you're measured by. So, hopefully, you keep winning and stack up wins that hopefully helps. But at the end of the day, I think we've all got our critics and they're not going anywhere. And that's okay. I think, honestly, I play better when people are criticizing me, and I think I kind of, come out and just have something to chase, and I think it helps the way I play.
But do you take it home and do you talk to your wife about it? Because there were times when the critics were pretty tough on you.
Yeah, and they will be again. It's pretty fickle, week to week, year to year, but. I do try to stay ignorant. I just don't think it helps to go looking for it. I think it'll, keep you from sleeping well at night and whatnot. So for my own sanity, I try to stay insulated from it and just be ignorant to it. But, inevitably you're going to find out something through the media. You're obligated to talk to the media 2-3 times a week. So they usually try to remind you of things before you can stay out of it. But, all things considered, I think there are some things I never hear about, and it honestly helps. But when I do, I try to, use it as fuel, if you will, and hopefully play better as a result.
What changed this team winning 7 of its last 9 games?
Hard to say. I think, our offensive coordinator, offensive system changed in the off season, and I think there's always some growing pains with that early in the year. And I think through the first 4 games, we were 2-2, and we were kind of feeling our way through what this offense was going to look like. And I think it kind of clicked. I think we started to get a feel for, how we're going to run the football, how we're going to throw the football, who we're going to lean on from a personnel standpoint. And then once we got that feel, I think offensively we've been much stronger. So 2-2 is not the end of the world, but at the time it felt like it. And then, we've been able to string something together here and put ourselves in a position now where these last 3 games will really write the story.
We're talking to Kirk Cousins, the Vikings quarterback. When's the last time you were watching from the sidelines or even watching on TV a quarterback and you go, I don't know how he does that, or that's something I don't think I could do?
Yeah, there's different styles of play. And so when I watch Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, I say that's not the way that I play the game. And it works, and it's really good, and it's just not the way I can or do play the position. And yet I watch other guys and say, all right, I'm going to try to emulate that because that's going to fit more when I'm at my best, how it should look. So, there are plenty of guys who you look at and you say, that's just not in my repertoire. But you also realize there are different ways to get it done,
Well, it's like when you play golf with somebody and they hit the ball 50 yards further than you. It still counts how many strokes to get in the cup. So they don't give you style points with any of this. But I still, I think Rodgers is actually become underrated again for some reason. I was watching him, the last couple of weeks, not with San Francisco, by the way, but Aaron Rodgers, to me, still makes it look easier than any other quarterback.
Yeah, I remember back in 2014, it was my first year actually starting a few games in a row, and I was still kind of figuring it out and struggling. And, he was, I believe, MVP or had been the MVP. He was having a great year. And I remember saying to Sean McVay, who was my offensive coordinator at the time, I think we had watched him on Sunday Night Football the night before, and I said, I feel like when I watch him play, he knows the future. he knows what's going to happen before it happens. Look on his face and the way he plays the game. And as I've played longer and got more experience, you start to see where a guy gets that, how he develops that, and the years that it takes to get there. But there's no doubt he's arguably the most talented, most equipped quarterback of all time. And we're in a bit of a golden age. You could probably say at end of any era, but you got, Tom Brady, who they call the GOAT. You got Aaron Rodgers, who you could argue is as talented as anybody ever. And you got young guys like Patrick Mahomes that are doing impressive things. So there's no shortage of good quarterbacks around the league, and there's a bunch of names I didn't even mention.
Well, if you look at Breeze is a Hall of Famer, Brady's a Hall of Famer, Ben's a Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers Hall of Famer, Russell Wilson's going to be a Hall of Famer. Then I got
a lot of gold jackets.
That's a lot of guys on their way to Canton. I mean and also I think we're seeing this transformation at the position that you're seeing offensive coordinators or head coaches adopt the college style of the quarterback they're drafting instead of saying, "Hey, come on in, we need you to run a pro set." Do you see that trend's going to continue?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I consider myself a football genius when it comes to the analytics and where things are going, but I think you'll always need a guy who can operate from the pocket, can go through a progression. I think even when you look at the quarterbacks who people would say, oh, they're a college offense type quarterback, the ones who are having success can still drop back, go through a progression, throw with accuracy. I think those are staples that no matter how the offense looks, you're still going to have to do those things to be successful, make good decisions, that whole deal. But, I think football will always innovate. It's a game of cat and mouse with the defense of, okay, if you're going to do this, then how do we answer that? And then if you're going to do this to stop that, how do we expand? And so it's just a constant evolution. I don't think that ever ends. I mean, who knows? Maybe one day we'll go back to running the triple option in the NFL if you counter what defenses do. You don't know. So I think that it's an evolving thing year after year.
I'm wondering, I go back to that Big Ten title game. We talk about it a lot, when the Vikings played, against Seattle, and we couldn't help but think when you guys, Michigan State, Wisconsin, and we went to the game, and it was just such an exciting game. If I would have said to you at the time, hey, you guys are going to be star quarterbacks, because you were, a fourth-round draft pick, and Russ was a third-round draft pick?
Right.
And I'm wondering also, if you would have been a first-round pick instead of a fourth-round, do you think things would have played out the same way? Because Brady talks about if he was a first-round pick, he might be out of the league because the expectation level would have been there and he wouldn't have been ready for it.
Yeah, 100%. I wasn't ready to play. Mike Shanahan, my head coach at the time, he's always been a believer in me, and he may argue that I was, but at the time, I don't know that I was ready to play. It took time. It took a lot of years of reps and experience and even failing to be able to figure it out. I guess if the team was patient enough with me, I'd like to think it would have clicked, but I don't think it would have clicked in the first 6 games if, in year one. But no doubt, that Big Ten championship game was a lot of fun. You know, Russell and I actually ended up training together when the season ended. We were at IMG down in Florida, and we trained together for about 2 months leading up to the combine. We were out there every day lifting and throwing, and so I guess having worked with him, you could see then that he had all the habits and the ability to be what he now has become. So I guess in that sense, it's no surprise. But I was just turning on the Big Ten championship game on Saturday night in my hotel room, and they said it's the 9th annual game, and we were the inaugural one, the first one. I couldn't believe it's already been 9 of them, so time really flies.
You're getting old.
I'm getting old. I'm 31 now, and I think when I first came on your show, I was a junior or senior in college and was 22, 23, so time flies, and these NFL years go faster every year.
And the fact that you were singing the first time you came on?
I know. I can't believe I did that. And yeah, I got some skeletons in my closet from stuff like that. But
that's not a skeleton.
Feel free to bust it out on a Friday. Feel free to bust it out.
Kirk, that's not a skeleton. I've talked to guys with skeletons in their closet. Trust me, you don't have skeletons in your closet. Hey, congrats on the season so far. We appreciate your time, and safe travels to Los Angeles.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. You do a great job. Have a great Christmas, and probably see you in the off season.
Thank you, Kirk. That's Kirk D. Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, maybe it's just me kind of chopping up the words.
A lot
there.
of attitude.
No.
It's gone to his head.
I'll see you in the off season because if he's still playing at the Super Bowl, then he can't be a guest. Kirk not confident in Vikings postseason run. Yes, Steve.
But is the postseason the off season? In the off season, it could be post Super Bowl. Maybe he'll come in and visit us.
No, I don't think so. That's headline stuff there. That's headline stuff.
It's about as controversial as he could get.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.